Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Satisfactory 1.0. My name is Thomas, and this is episode number 6. In today's episode, we're going to be automating the wire, cable, and screws if we have enough time. With that said, let's get started. Alright, so here we go, and look at this, everybody. We fully automated our iron rods and iron plates. And so now we have them all stacked up into this container, and we could just pull from this whenever we like. So yeah, these are really wonderful times. And it's just really pleasurable having our factory do everything for us. Let them do all the hard work. All right, so let's take a look at the power here. And we have a max capacity of 25 megawatts. And right now we can support up to 40. So we have plenty of power to work with. So yeah, we need to automate the concrete as well. So we can't forget about that. Actually, I think I want to start with the concrete first. So that's what I'm going to do. And then once we automate the concrete, screws, wire, and cable, we're going to do a really massive power plant build using the biomass generators. All right. So before we head over to begin mining, I'm going to make sure that I have everything I need to do this. And yep, so I got enough of the materials, prerequisites to do the miner MK1. And then let's take a look at the constructor. Yes, we have plenty for the constructor. Actually, we only have 2 of the reinforced iron plates. And do you remember what makes reinforced iron plates? It's the screws and the iron plates. And screws are made from iron rods. So we need to turn those iron rods into some screws real quick. And then we can make some reinforced iron plates. So let's go to our handy dandy crafting bench. And we're going to make some screws. And that is so hilarious. The cat meowing in the background. It's so flagrant. All right. Now we can get 10, so let's get 10 reinforced iron plates. Cool, and there's 3, 2, 1, and 0. Excellent. All right, so let's head over and begin extracting some of that limestone with a miner. Actually, we also need a biomass generator. So let's make sure we have enough for that. We do. Okay. Yeah, I would hate to walk all the way over there and not be able to place down a miner or a generator. Okay? So make sure you have everything you need to build. All right, crossing the river. All right, and here are the portable miners. I'm going to pick those up by tapping E and then grab all. Oops, pick up the miner. Yep, E, pick up the miner. There, and so if we take a look at this limestone node, it's pretty elevated. And the miner sits a bit weird on it. But that's all right. That's all right for now. I'm going to head over to the production tab, and I'm going to plant the miner. Let's kind of go this way. And we'll get into, as you can see, I mean, it looks so funny how elevated it is. And you can see as you rotate it, it kind of dips down and up on the node. So it's kind of weird. And that's, you know, we'll fix that once we get the foundation. All right, so the miner is done. Let's go ahead and place down our power source, which is going to be the biomass burner. And I am going to place that there. Now, there is a new feature to this in that you can insert a conveyor belt into the miner and feed that. And that is new to 1.0. But, for this, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to insert it because this is temporary and it's all going to be knocked down eventually here. Okay. So we'll get into all those smaller details in a bit. All right. And so now I'm going to press 1 for a power pole and I'm going to place that right here. 2 for the power line and connect them all up to 1 power pole. Cool. And so now we're ready to place down our constructor. So I'm going to cycle through here and head over to the production tab and click on the constructor. Now holding down control, I can snap the constructor and align it to the miner like this. And then let's tap 3 for the MK1 conveyor belt. Let's route that right into the constructor. And then from here, let's click the constructor and select on concrete. Now we just need to hit 2 for the power line and connect that from the power pole to the constructor. Cool. And so now we can build a container. And that is found under the organization tab. And, I'm going to do something like this. Yeah, and then 3 for the conveyor belt. And so one of the new features in 1.0 is the automatic 90-degree turn. So if we tap the toggle build mode, which is R, you can do this really cool 90-degree turn automatically. And so this is a quality update here, and it's one I really, really appreciate. So very, very cool. This is going to come in handy as we build a larger scale factories. But for now, we'll worry about that a bit later. All right, so I actually pressed H to lock the hologram. So if I drag this out and I hit H, it locks the hologram so I can move my cursor left and right, up and down, and I can actually walk over here to make sure it's perfectly aligned. So yeah, that's really, really helpful. So you should use that quite a bit. So I'm just going to snap it in like that from the constructor to the container and take a look at that. We have concrete all finished. Wonderful. And so this is going to be used in the construction of our foundation. And yeah, I've been thinking about how I want to build my future factory. And it's all going to be done in a way that's super easy for a new player getting started in Satisfactory. Because this game is super, super complicated and it's a huge undertaking to build a factory here. And you want to keep everything very, very simple if it's your first playthrough. So I'm going to help you do that. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Start small and scale up. I know I keep repeating myself, but it's true. Just do little builds, small builds. And yeah, hopefully we'll get through it together. Okay, so let's move on to the next task. Now that the concrete is all finished, I'm going to jam in the remaining limestone in my inventory, which is quite a bit. And there's a sort button down here. You can sort it, and you get a nice clean inventory. All right. So I'm going to let that go. In fact, we are producing 60 per minute, and this is producing 45. So we can get another 15, but we only have 60, and this requires 45. So 40 plus 40 is 80, plus another 10 is 90. So with 2 constructors, we would need a 90 per minute. We're not going to be able to get that, all right? It's impossible right now due to the... We don't have a functionality called overclocking. That's something we'll unlock a bit later. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here. but there's a way to overclock your machines so that you can get a perfect ratio. I'm not worried about ratios right now, okay? This is a starter base, as they say it, okay? This is just a starter base, and it's gritty. And all we need is this to be automated. Efficiency is not important right now. It will come in a bit later. So, cool. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and begin working on the wire, and then the cable, and then the screws, and then we'll end today's episode. We'll see how much time we have left. We're working with about 19 minutes left. Let's see if we can knock out all 3 of them in today's episode. And then we can, in episode number 7, we can work hopefully on our first real major build using foundations and building a huge power base using the biomass generators. All right, so now we need to head over to our copper, which is right over here. Here's the copper, and let's go ahead and press E, pick up the portable miner, and I'm going to go place down a miner. All right, miner. So under the production MK1 miner, I'm going to place that right here. Cool. Now we can work on producing some wires and cables. So I'm going to place a splitter here, just like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and place 2 smelters over here. Again, a little spaghetti here. Enjoy it while you have time. And the conveyor belt is too steep. Oh my gosh. Now, this is, I think most people who know me know that my gripe about Satisfactory is that the terrain is not destructible. You can't modify the terrain. It's just static and stationary. And so you get all the stupid clipping. And I really think that's the downfall, if there is such a thing, a downfall for Satisfactory, is no ability to manipulate the terrain to build a factory. So, I mean, look at this. It's really causing me troubles. And it's a pain point for me. And I think Satisfactory really missed out on this feature. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from the veterans, but hey, this is just how I feel. And, maybe Satisfactory 2.0, they will have terrain manipulation. Okay, so, all right, so I just pressed R. I was on a different setting. I was on the straight, so I switched it back to default. Okay, so that was a user error. That was slightly my fault. Okay, now I'm going to go in right here. And I'm going to copy the smelter and place another one right here. Okay, and then I'm going to come out like that. Wow, this is super ugly. All right. It's hard for me to do this, but, we got to start somewhere. All right, so now we have 60 per minute being broken down into 30 per minute. And then we're going to have 30 per minute and 30 per minute. I'm going to jam in the iron ore into the smelter just to preload that and clear my inventory out. Okay, excellent. So now I'm going to switch over to a constructor. And we need some cables. The good thing is if we head over to special, place down a craft bench, we may be able to craft up some cables. And take a look at that. We can craft up some cables. All right. Now let's go ahead and place down a constructor. Let's grab our conveyor belts and route that to the constructor. And then I'm going to say, hey, this is going to be wire, and a wire takes 15 copper ingots, and that's going to give me 30 wire per minute, and it produces 2 at a time, which is really nice. All right, and then this one is also going to be wire. And then I'm going to copy this constructor and place another one out here, right in front of it. Let's copy the conveyor belt by pressing down the middle mouse wheel. And then let's route the conveyor belt into the constructor. And let's turn this constructor into cable. And so cable requires wire. All right. In fact, we could get 2 constructors running at 30 cables per minute if we really wanted to. As you can see, it says it takes 60 per minute. 60 wire per minute. Oh. And this is producing 30. And this is producing, it needs 60. Okay, so we need 2 of these machines to fully supply the cable here to give us 30 per minute. We don't have that right now. We have a total of 60 being split off into 2. And so we don't have that for this setup. But that's all right. This is all going to be broken down, and we will do perfect ratios so that we can be efficient in the future. But for now, we're just trying to get the very basic components stored up so that we can begin doing, like, constructing big projects. And the last thing you want to do is start building large projects without an inventory, okay? You're going to find yourself handcrafting those materials, and you're going to waste so much time and potentially burn yourself out and quit the game altogether, okay? So invest in building the layouts, simple archaic layouts to build up those materials. Like, look, I could just boom and boom. That's all I had to do, boom and boom. And I didn't have to handcraft, all because I took about 15 minutes to do this little setup here, instead of handcrafting over and over and over. So don't do that. Don't do that. Don't burden yourself like that. Just automate the process. Do something very basic and just get all the parts built up into a container. Don't worry about how your factory looks in the beginning. Don't put extra stress on yourself. Keep things simple. Do some spaghetti, and we'll make a greater, more better looking factory as we progress, I promise. And you guys are all going to like it. All right, cool. Now that we have everything all set up to automate the wire and the cable, almost, we need to lay down the power poles. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And again, I'm just going to be sloppy. Okay, I'm going to be sloppy. No reason to be precise at this moment and this early in the game. All right, so I'm going to go from this power line up to here. All right, so, and then I'm going to connect this to that constructor. Okay, this power pole line to that constructor, which is the wire, and this one to the cable. Now let's connect this power pole to this power pole, and then this power pole wire will go to this constructor and to that constructor, and then this one will go to another power pole. And all I did is to copy this. Again, I know I keep repeating myself, it's the middle mouse wheel, press down on the object you want to copy, and there you are. And remember, one power pole can support up to 4 lines. Now, there is tech we'll be able to unlock that we can support more than 4. All right, we'll get there in a bit. So this is wonderful. We have everything all set up, ready to go, and the max con is going to be 25 megawatts. 25 megawatts. Now, again, I'm just going to route this over here. And, right there. Oh, I'm out of, oh, it's too long. It's too long. Okay, so let's place another one here. And then one right there. And I'm out of cables, so what I'm going to do, head over to the Special tab, select Crafting Bench, place that down, and craft up some of those cables. Okay, that's all I need. Let's press 2 for the cable, and route that to that power pole right there. And now let's take a look at our hardware. All right, so the miner that is on the iron ore is now extracting it. And this is the very basic component to building more advanced items. And uh-oh, we have a power issue. And so our max con is 46 megawatts, and I don't know what my capacity is. So obviously we have too much demand on the power grid. So what I'm going to do, again, not worrying about how the factory looks, I'm going to place down a biomass generator right here. And we're going to connect it there, and we're going to stuff in some biomass, and let's flip this. And so now we have a capacity of 70 megawatts, and we are currently consuming 38.2. Now let's get back to the factory and take a look at the copper ore being split off using the splitter. So that's 30 per minute. So this is 60. Now it's being split off into 2 different directions. That's 30, which go into the smelter to make 30 copper ingots. That goes in there to make some wire, and then the wire goes into the next constructor to make some cable, and then the cable goes into the storage container. And then on the other side, it's just the iron ingots to make the wire, and then the wire into the container. And so, look, now we have up here the iron rod and the iron plates, the cables, and the wire. The last component we need to get done today is the screws. Now, this is a little bit more complicated. It's more kind of like the cables. Okay, kind of like the cables. So we have to set up another production line, a really simple one, not too difficult, not too difficult. And we're going to break off from the splitter here. Now, we're going to burn through this iron ore eventually and empty it out from the miner. If we take a look here, we're all backed up. But as soon as we put down a third production line, it's going to burn through this because we're using more than 60 iron ore per minute. And all that this miner here can only support 60 per minute. And so, yeah, I hope that makes sense. The demand is going to be greater than 60 per minute of the iron ore, so we're going to burn through the stockpile eventually. So as you can see, we have requesting 30 per minute. Okay, so there's 30 per minute. Let's look at this one, 30 per minute. And this one, 30 per minute. So we're demanding 30, 60, 90 iron ore per minute with this build, and all we can push out right now is 60 per minute. That's all we can push out. Why? Because our conveyor belt only supports 60 items per minute. Even though this miner can do 120, our conveyor belts cannot support 120 right now. It can only support 60. So the limiting factor to this build is the conveyor belt. But once we get new technology, we will fix that. All right, and again, I'm not worrying about how things look. All we're concerned about is automating the very rudimentary components so that we can build our base a bit bigger without worrying about handcrafting. If you're doing a large scale build and you're handcrafting your components, Ada would be very, very upset with you. Oh my goodness, she would be so upset with you. So don't do that. All right, learn from me. Learn from me. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going over here to grab some cables so that I can build more constructors. And I'm going to say take all. And look at that. I didn't have to handcraft that. I just went to the box and grabbed the wire. Or the cable, excuse me. Cable, cable, cable. The wire goes inside of the cable. Yep, and so let's go ahead and place this constructor over here. And in we go. And so now we're going to say, hey, I want to make some screws. And if you see at the bottom there, they require iron rods. So I'm going to say iron rods. And then from here, we'll route the rods into this constructor to make the screws like that. And then I will copy the container like this. Press 3 for the conveyor belt and route the screws in there. Now the final part is just to route the power like this. I think this looks good. Let's connect the constructors up. And, oh, we're full there. What about here? Full there. What about there? Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's going to work. And so we need to get the power up here as well. So I'm going to go from here to there. Okay. Oh my goodness. This is the ugliest base I've ever built in Satisfactory, but I do not care. What's the most important thing? It automates all of the basic components for me. Functionality over the appearance of the factory when you get started, okay? Yep. And let's take a look at this. Why did I select the wrong recipe? I select copper ingots. So let's switch that to iron ingots. Whoops, you didn't see that. And oh boy, I see what I did. I think I stuffed the iron ore. I jammed it into the machine, the smelter. My bad. Wow, that's embarrassing. Even experienced pioneers make mistakes. Would you imagine that? And so check it out. Now the iron ingots are going to go in here to automate the rods. And then the rods are going to go in to produce some screws. And the screws are going to be plopped out. And then in they go. Wow. Amazing. Check that out, everybody. And just like that, we have successfully automated all of the basic components to help us get started building a very efficient, large factory. And boy, it's going to be a lot of fun. And so screws, iron plates, iron rods, wires, cables, and concrete, all ready to go, all done. And now we can just head over to the hub and let's select our next item to work on. And that is going to be base building. Yes, we are going to unlock base building and we're going to get started with a large project, which is going to be a power grid. A power grid. We need to focus on the power first before we build a large factory. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you guys are enjoying this little tutorial series. If you are, definitely hit that like button and let me know if you appreciate these videos. And if you are new around here and would like to keep up to date with future episodes, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification and you'll be notified when a new episode is released. Guys, we'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Adios. Bye.